Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 7, Once More Unto the Breach. Kor returns to find a glorious death before his dementia catches up with him.
Took me a second to realize he was going nuts.
It did?
Well, it came out of nowhere. He suddenly wonders, hey, I'm supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah, I don't see how you could possibly work it out before then. There's no clues. That's the reveal.
Yeah. I guess I thought if he were to go crazy, there would have been clues that would suddenly become clear, but this is just, no, he's crazy now.
It seemed a little sudden. Oh, I guess there was one clue. He forgets the name of the ship and has to ask Worf for it again.
Oh, yeah, so there was a clue.
That's the thing about dementia, though. It kind of... If the situation gets stressful, it can suddenly flare it up. I don't know how it works. So, what did you think of this one?
I thought it was pretty good.
That makes sense. It's a Klingon episode. Those are usually pretty good.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on, but I enjoyed Martok having a lesson, and they did something I didn't think they could do, and that's make me not like Martok in a scene when he is trying to embarrass Kor. It's really ugly, and I didn't like. You're not supposed to like him in that scene, and then he finds how hollow and bad it made him feel. But I like that they did that.
We certainly see a darker side of Martok here. He's really not very fond of Kor, to the point of relentlessly mocking him for degenerative health condition.
Haha, you have mental problems.
He did say he took no joy from it, but I think he still hated Kor anyway.
He just wished he could hate him more.
I like that there was no explanation to make what Kor had done go away. You kind of expect with this kind of plotline where it'll come out, oh, it was all a misunderstanding and we can all be friends. I was ill. I was ill that day when I was signing off and some guy did it instead and he's a really bad guy.
I say no a lot when I have a fever.
So I'm glad they didn't do that. Kor is just a classist guy and he didn't apologize for it or anything.
That is good they did that. And it's also good that he doesn't remember. He's like, I don't know. Probably happened. Who cares?
Yeah, for him it was just Tuesday. To quote Street Fighter the movie.
I take it you enjoyed this episode because it has Martok in it.
It's a Martok heavy episode, so I enjoyed it.
He learns a nice little lesson.
What lesson does he learn?
That old people gonna be old.
That old people have grandpa powers? I guess he was impressed with Kor as a person, in that he definitely still hated him at the end. He was not singing to his honor. He drank to his honor, but he didn't join in the song.
Well, he learned that holding on to bitterness doesn't help, but he's still going to do it anyway.
I think he learned that Kor really was kind of special. Like, he just assumed, oh, this guy came from money, he's all talk and no walk. Whatever that means. But two things. One, Cord dropped some truth nuggets on him after being relentlessly mocked. He came back with an excellent retort, and then did this thing with the ships and holding back the fleet. 1v everyone.
He lived up to his reputation, and Martok desperately wanted him not to.
But if he hadn't, then Mortok would have died.
I think he would have
That
preferred
matters.
death.
Well, he's a Klingon. They jump at the chance to go on a suicide mission. Which is the thing, actually. It wasn't just Core. He said there were 6 volunteers as well.
6 nameless, faceless volunteers.
How do they know that Core didn't just go dementia, sort of hazy again, and then one of the volunteers stepped up and said, "Look, go away, I'll do this."
They were gathered not from the bridge, so they weren't aware of his craziness.
They must be on the bridge.
Well, he didn't have his...
Oh, you mean, okay, they hadn't seen his previous...
Yeah, his previous episode.
I think everyone would know about it. But still,
Well,
even if they hadn't seen the previous one, if he started shouting about Caleb 4, was it?
yeah.
Then they would relieve him of command.
He didn't have his crazy grin, so they thought it was all right.
All I'm saying is they don't know that it was definitely Core that did that, and his last attempt at command nearly got them all killed.
Oh, so you're saying he was taken out of command, and then it was one of the volunteers who led the suicide mission?
Yeah,
That makes way more sense.
they don't know. All I know is Core and 6 volunteers went away, and the fleet was held back. But last time we saw Core take control, he just went off the rails and nearly got everyone killed. And Martok tried to assassinate him to get rid of him, and Worf punched him out to get rid of him without killing him.
So the odds are pretty good that he did not lead that.
I expect he led it initially, but he could have just done 30 seconds, and then the 6 volunteers were like, this guy's not all here.
They should have done something to let us know it was Core.
Well, I think because the 6 volunteers were nameless, hypothetical characters, we can't attribute any achievements to them.
Yeah, a red shirt is never going to save the day as much as you can save the day on a suicide mission.
Well, they did. They saved it so hard that Mortok was blown away.
I had a hard time reconciling the way Core was treated with the Klingon culture because they're all about honor. And he's old. Shouldn't they pay respects to this old man? Or is it seen as bad to be old, as if he should have died in battle already?
Yeah, he should have died in battle.
Oh, okay.
Which makes no sense. He's really good at not dying in battle.
So you want to be good, but not so good that you never die.
I guess you have to be 85, 90% good at fighting.
That's sad. The elite will never be seen as such.
Yeah, you're not supposed to think about it too hard. I guess the idea is if you survive every battle you ever take part in, that means you didn't take part in a difficult enough battle.
Or you just played it safe all the time.
Yeah.
This seems dangerous. All of you guys go, and I will make sure this safe area remains safe.
I can't do this suicide mission. I am busy that day. I've got a hairdresser appointment.
Not an ear appointment because they don't have ears. Anyway.
What ear appointment? What? That's not a thing, though.
You don't have ear appointments?
I'm not a Ferengi. Speaking of Ferengi, there was a B plot.
That made me realize how well I knew this before, but it really points out how inappropriate it is that Esri works there.
They never gave a really good reason for her to be there, and they could have. She could have been integral to the war effort somehow.
I think the reason was Cisco wants her there.
That's not a very good reason. It's believable though because Cisco gets his way.
Right. That was enough for me. I thought, well, if Cisco wants it to happen, it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, it fits fine. It's just that they could have done something better. I mean, Jadzia conferred with Cisco loads of times about intricate war stuff. She was a valuable asset, I imagine, to Cisco.
That job could still happen off of DS9. They could communicate through that terrible hologram thing
Oh
that they
wow.
gave up on.
But you don't want to discuss stuff over a transmission.
Oh yeah, it could be
It,
intercepted easily. Well,
yeah,
more.
because you have to remember in Star Trek world, encryption hasn't progressed past about 1930s standards. They just could have given her a better reason. In this episode, she even tells Kira that she is better at being a counselor than Esri. I don't think there's anyone left on the station that hasn't had that compliment.
What, that Kira would be better at their job?
Well, that one too, but I meant Esri has said to them, "Wow, you're probably better at my job than I am."
Oh, okay.
She puts herself down quite a lot.
Yeah, I want her to hurry up and find some confidence.
So this B plot was a kind of sitcom B plot.
Yeah, a simple misunderstanding leads to an embarrassing conversation. Pretty typical stuff. I did enjoy that conversation with Kira when she talks about the routines that people always go through. I like hearing that stuff when people have when they talk about their jobs and how there's a recurring element, how people react the same way to a certain situation all the time.
Gets a bit Groundhog Day. I think this B plot was okay, but the one thing I really didn't like was the whole. Okay, so Quark overhears her talking about Core, but thinks it's Worf. But what she says about Core makes very little sense.
Funny you should mention dreams. Ever since my conversation with Core, I've had the most intense dreams about him.
Like what?
Being on a Klingon bridge together, going off into battle, drinking blood wine, which still makes me gag, by the way. Singing songs. Oh, part of me wants to be out there with him now. I hope he's all right. I can't bear the thought of losing him. I'd give almost anything for the chance to be together just one more time. The two of us side by side, just like it used to be.
Those last lines really stick out. I can't bear the thought of losing him. I want to be by his side. That's strange.
Yeah, she met him twice. That's Jadzia anyway.
Jedzia builds relationships quickly.
Well, I guess Curzon had knew him. It seemed overly contrived.
It's
And-
forced.
Yeah, it's deliberately set up to be ambiguous for Worf, for Quark to overhear. It doesn't flow like a natural conversation.
Because if it did flow like a natural conversation, Quark would have never made that mistake.
Yeah, but they could have kept this plot. They just need to work on that line a bit more. I don't think it ruins the plot, and I don't think the plot is generally bad, although I'm not a big fan of these kind of sitcom moments. It just seems like they crowbarred this stuff in to start it off.
It starts off shaky, and then it can't really recover from that. Even if the pieces were better that followed that, it's too clunky right away.
I liked Jake's little bit.
Oh, that was good. I like when they have tiny moments where they sprinkle in characters like that. It helps the station feel more alive. Not that they have a problem with that, but I like these examples.
You could see him grinning in the background and then giving Quark a couple of smooth words. There was also a deleted scene before he approached Esri where Jake was trying to make Quark a drink or something, and Quark's lamenting.
What?
Jake keeps messing up the drink.
Why is he making drinks?
He's trying to show Quark a new drink, a new cocktail.
Okay.
It got cut, so I imagine it probably was not very good.
It works in the show's favor because the scene we do get with Jake, it would probably feel more crowbarred in like the other stuff because, well, he's in this episode earlier. We might as well have him in later.
Yeah, it feels good for him just to be there as a coincidence, and he knows what's going on, so you think, he's probably talked about it with Quark, but they didn't show that because if we fill in the blanks in our head, it'll seem a lot better and more real than if they just show it on camera.
Less is more. Something about Latinum. Less is more unless it's Latinum.
There you go. With a number in front, and it could go straight in the rules. There's a critical flaw in this episode which basically destroys the entire of Deep Space Nine's canon.
Not enough Martok.
Really? I mean, I like Martok, and I think this episode had enough. So that's how would that break anything anyway? No, it's much.
No.
It's much more contrived and pointless. You know where I'm going with this.
I don't.
Straight into pedantry. So when the Klingons are rushing the installation, they went to 300 meters above it.
Okay.
But Klingons use kelicams as a measurement of distance in planetary orbit.
That was the universal translator translating for our benefit.
I see. For a moment there, I thought perhaps it wasn't real.
Well, at distances greater than 300 kilometers, they use, what was this system you said?
Kelicams.
Yeah, they use those, and then 300 or fewer, then they use kilometers.
Why? There was a shot, an establishing shot in this.
Ooh, the
episode.
undershot.
Was it under or over?
I think it's under, isn't it?
I thought it was over.
Well, it's space, so it doesn't really matter.
The station's not vertically symmetrical, so someone could work it out if you go and look at it.
But I thought
Like,
we were looking
comment,
at
and
the
subscribe. Tell us if it was under or over.
I thought we were looking at the bottoms of Birds of Prey.
I'm not saying I was definitely right or you're definitely right. I don't know. It could have been
either
under.
way.
It's cool though. I don't think they've ever done a vertical shot.
Not to my mind, and it looked awesome.
It's just suddenly felt a lot more like it was in space.
Yeah. There should be weird angles and stuff. It's always at the same kind of establishing shots. So that really stood out.
Well, they don't have much to work with. It's just a little prongy thing hanging there in the middle of nothing.
I could do more.
So, they did. It's just weird that it got to season 7 before they started doing these kind of shots. Although I think it might be because they have computer effects at this point.
Oh, maybe it was impractical with the model.
I think it may well have been. There's not any establishing shots which are close in on the station
Yeah,
or very distant, apart from
can't
the
give the
opening
game away.
titles. Yeah, well, with the model that would make sense. Maybe we'll see some now they've got computer effects. They'll do some interesting stuff.
Crazy sweeping shots.
Well, there's only so many ways you can shoot a static object with no reference around it. But even amongst all those possibilities, they've really only used a couple until now.
Still waiting for that shot where they zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and then it goes through the wall, and then
Like through a
it's
window.
that. Yeah, through a window.
Like in Event Horizon.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, well, I've spoiled the.
Now I can't watch
opening.
it. It's ruined.
I don't know. It does zoom in on Sam Neill, I think.
And for some reason, I imagine it zooms in on Odo. I guess because it's easy to imagine him staring out the window. I don't know why.
Odo or Jake, I would say. Well, Odo is a man alone.
But he has Kira now, so he's not as much of the staring out a window listlessly type.
His angsty character has kind of fallen a bit flat. I don't
He's
know.
De-angsted.
Yeah, but then, like, when he was talking to Quark in this one, he just seemed like regular angsty Odo.
They seem like buds, though, but they always seem like that.
Quark's projecting onto Ezri. He's really pining for Odo.
He's so upset that Odo has someone.
Did you notice that Core said the blood wine was vintage 2309?
Is that number supposed to mean something to me?
In the previous episode, Nog took Martok's blood wine and returned it with vintage 2309.
Oh, nice.
And Martok says, "Oh, it's a better year than the one my wife got me." It's odd because you'd think blood wine. It makes it like seem like blood wine is like Coca-Cola. There's just one company that makes it. The 2309 vintage is good.
Those are the good old days. Before they came out with new blood wine and everyone hated it.
Blood wine zero.
Vanilla blood wine.
Blood wine with a hint of bile.
Gluten-free blood wine.
Vegan blood wine.
How does that work?
Yeah. Does it have blood in it? I don't think it does.
No, it's one of those things.
Well, I don't know.
I say this as if someone who lives in a world where blood wine exists.
Ezri says it makes her gag, so I could imagine it does have blood in it. Mmm. Do you have some words of wisdom that you would like to share with us?
I do, and I think you already know what those words are because you had a prime opportunity to quote them, but you opted not to.
Deliberately didn't because I thought you might have chosen them.
Yeah, but this episode had plenty of great quotes, but that is the quote I chose, and here goes. Hey, that rhymed. Savor the fruit of life, my young friends. It has a sweet taste when it is fresh from the vine, but don't live too long. The taste turns bitter after a time. Great quote.
He cut them down with that.
Yeah. Oh, they think they're getting me good with this Caleb stuff. Wait until I drop this line.
Well, that's kind of the point. He might not know what's really going on in a difficult situation, but in each moment he is still talented and eloquent. Funnily enough, that line is also a callback to one of Korra's first lines that he spoke in the original series,
What?
which I didn't write down.
Good.
I hope you will continue to savor the sweetness of your life.
The new one's way better.
Well, the context of the original quote was kind of different.
I prefer the reboot.
Well, it wasn't a profound sort of retort kind of comeback thing. It's just something he said, and it's a callback to something he said in the past. For people who are keen fans and or read the wiki.
Well, the wiki didn't exist back then, did it?
Yeah, of course. The wiki was made in the 21st century. It all takes
Oh.
place in the 24th century.
So you think after he said that line, those Klingons all hurriedly typed it into Google to see what it matched?
You've confused me now, but yes, that's what I think. Why not?
Okay.
We have to stop here and move on to the next episode.
Okay. By Kalus's hand.
By Grabthar's hammer?
Long live the Empire,
Okay.
I guess. I don't really care.
Bye!
Bye.